This was such a great session with Annaïg, and Annaïg is a professional gem cutter. So she's got a service part to her artisan business, but she's also wanting to really showcase her ready-made jewelry a lot more. And it's about working out, well, how do I integrate these two into the same social channels? Because really the dream is not to have multiple channels and it splits you apart. It's really about how do you bring these together and show different aspects of yourself as an artisan. So here we have Annaïg from Annaïg's Gem Studio.
And Neg, it's so wonderful to have you here. Now, do you want to quickly tell everyone what your brand name is?
Hello, everyone. And my name is Annaïg Bidden, and my made-it shop is Annaïg's Gem Studio. Also, I'm a gem cutter by trade, so I also go with my Facebook and social. It's all Annaïg's Gem Studio on the social. So gem cutter by trade, and to get my creative side out, I also make my little silver jewelry on the side.
Like these beautiful creations that I have here that are possibly, oh, where's the camera? There we go. Some of my favorite earrings ever.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I love them. And you know that's genuine. You've seen me wear them in way too many videos to know that it's absolute fact. Hey, look, Annick, let's get started. And I know that now I've got my phone here as well, so I just find it easier when we're doing this that I can look through your socials at the same time as we're doing this. One of the things I want to start with, because obviously in the form in advance, you'd said you wanted to just really dive into socials, but also specifically from sharing within groups and reels and what that looked like. Do you want to give me a little bit more context about what you're hoping to cover?
So I'm trying to make things a bit easier for me to share my jewelry on social media to sell my jewelry. I've
Yes.
worked out a system that works for my gem cutting side, but for the jewelry, I'm a little bit unsure. What I've realized from some of the big feedback that you've given me earlier, that sometimes the collage look great on Facebook, but they look not so great on Instagram. So I'm
Yeah.
sort of starting to differentiate what to post on the two different platforms.
Yeah.
And also to make it easy for me, well, I can prepare things for Facebook, make some collage in advance, and then use those photos and prepare a reel or something
Yeah.
for Instagram so that it's consistent but a bit different.
I agree. And I also think as well that it is while you get a lot of crossover in your audiences on Facebook and Instagram, I do still feel it's different because I think often even the way that you use Instagram is so different to Facebook. And like so for me, when I'm on the two different channels, I am actually looking for something different. And if I'm following an artisan, I just see the same, and no additional engagement on either. I tend to sort of think, why am I following you on both? And I often won't follow on both unless they're giving me something that's really worthwhile for me to want to invest my time on both the channels. Do you want to give us a bit of an overview of what are you doing currently? Like what sort of time are you allocating to socials? And, what's the mix of what you're doing on Facebook versus Instagram and Facebook groups as well?
So at the moment for my gem cutting business, I do on both Instagram and Facebook, across posts on both. I do my Monday blues and I do my Friday rocks. So those two, I'm very consistent with those two because I don't have to think, what am I
Yeah.
going to post? I need something blue. And then on Friday, what are the colorful gems I've had during the week or recently that I can post about? So those two are sorted. And what I want to do now is something in the middle of the week to show my jewelry.
Yes.
And I haven't found yet my voice for that.
Yeah.
That's the tricky bit. So I know I should do more stories as well. Um,
Look,
And
you don't have to do anything, right? Just to be really clear, it's about there's definitely different tips and tricks that you can do to create engagement. But I mean, looking at your the Monday Blues and the Friday Rocks, they're by far the posts that get the most engagement. That would that be correct in saying that?
yeah, absolutely.
And do you know what has actually happened in this whole process of you doing Monday Blues, Friday Rocks? Is it's created familiarity. So it's almost like you've actually trained the customers that it's time to engage as well. So it's almost like they go, oh, they see it and they're like, oh, I wonder what you're working on this week. Like you've almost set up that framework so that they know how to react to it. So I think when you're starting to input other content, it can take a bit of time because you're also comparing it to the engagement that you're getting on those posts that you're doing really well and really consistently. When I'm looking at your socials, and actually, before I jump into that, let's talk a little bit about your the two parts of your business. And it's not uncommon that artisans have this. I think a lot of artisans have almost like a service part of their artisan business, and then they have a product type, which is, you know, the ready-made aspect. So when we're talking about your gem cutting services, how much business, and can you quantify this, but how much business are you getting from socials with your gem cutting?
Pretty much every week I get emails or direct messages from potential new clients to make appointments.
Fantastic.
So that's, and I see a really different demographic in Instagram to Facebook.
Can you dive into that a little bit about what's the difference that you notice?
Younger people, Instagram,
Yeah.
people my age, sometimes a bit younger on Facebook.
Right.
And it's pretty much the same thing. They see some of the posts, they've been seeing some of the posts for a while, and they contact me. They know already that I should be able to do what they want to do. They trust me already because they've seen the before and after. They've seen a few of the videos where I'm cutting things, so they know that I'm doing it. I'm not
Yeah.
sending it to somebody else. So, like, I've had people that I have never met arrange for an appointment, come to the workshop and saying, I know that you're the person who's going to fix my grandma's ring that I've just inherited. And the
Oh,
I, agate and carnelian is all busted up, and I want it to be fixed up because I love it. I want to wear it. So, never met that lady, but she's
y-
seen the videos, and
the
that's
thing,
it.
and look, that's really the power of really great online engagement is that once you're able to build that relationship online, the number one thing that it creates is trust. And you're doing it so beautifully already with your gem cutting. It means that you're in a really good position to take what you're doing with the gem cutting and then also provide an offering which makes sense to all of the people that are following you because they may not have a gem that needs to be cut or needs to be fixed up. So, but they might be following along going, what have you got that I can engage in? And so, just out of interest, which customer spends more, the Facebook or the Instagram customer?
Uh, it's different because on Facebook, I've had a couple of expensive things that I've had to cut.
Yeah.
Uh, and on, but usually it tends to be more jewelers. I have a few
Ah.
private people on Facebook, not as many as on Instagram. On Instagram, it's pretty much 50-50 jewelers and 50 private people. That
It's so interesting. It almost adds another layer as well into your business of how it's working. I think when I'm looking at your socials, and I'm just going to pull this up and have a look here. Oh, that's me. But when we have a look at your socials, let's have a look. If I came to your store, it may not be super clear to me that you actually have a ready-made offering. And it's one of the things that it's really important to think about the grid structure that you've got, in particular with Instagram. And I think it'll be really interesting for you to monitor where you're getting the sales from and which channel that they come from. Do you keep a spreadsheet with that or a notebook or anything about that?
Not yet. I've been sort of
Yeah.
around, but I haven't found a system that I find easy to follow to keep.
Do you use spreadsheets at all?
Sometimes, but not often. I'm usually more with
Okay.
notebook paper.
So one of the reasons why I'm quite obsessed with spreadsheets and pen and paper is fine. You can do that, kind of keep it as a running note. And then let's say at the end of the month, you could transfer it onto a spreadsheet. Now, the reason why I love spreadsheets is that you can create filters and so that you can go, okay, I just want a quick look to see where my customers are coming from. Absolutely, you can do this on pen and paper. But I think that given the nature of your business and that you're absolutely at a business level, right? Because you've got your gem cutting, which is a full-time business as well, is that it'll be a tool that will really help you long term as well. But what I would be doing is literally just making a note of all of the inquiries that you get on each of the platforms and whether or not they end up actually booking a job. And that would have really simply in there the person's name, the person's handle, any of the demographic stuff that you could pop in there. It could be age, it could be location, but it also could be private versus jeweler, that you're literally doing a tick box on those with those accounts, and then having what the actual amount is that they end up spending with you, or if they become a client. Because the more knowledge that you can get on that, the more that you can build the opportunity. Because, often we're like, oh, I think it's about 50-50, and, it may be, it may not be as well. And when we're talking about getting the most return on investment with your time, it's like, well, where is going to be the best place for me to invest my time and to really make the most of it? And often, if you can like really lean into one platform, you'll exponentially see better growth. But, and I would also say as well, you can start off with some hypothesis. So you could go, I have a feeling that this is what it looks like. And then you monitor things for 3 months while you're doing everything that you're doing. And then at the end of that, and you're clocking it at each month, but then at the end, you can go, okay, I'm going in with this purely as an investigator. I'm not going to go in with any preconceptions about the results that I want to see, because often there's a platform that we enjoy engaging on more. And we're like, I want that to be the platform. And it's like, it's not the platform. I know for me that, I love Instagram, but Facebook is where our sales and proper engagement actually comes from. So with that though, I think what you'd be wanting to look at as well is that this is a concept that I also shared with Carly yesterday from Millie Kane Photography. Very similar to you, right? She's got a service business, which is the photography, and she's adding in the product, but is for you to keep in mind this 70-20-10, I guess, factor into your time. Have you heard about this before?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so it's basically about you investing 70% of your time into your main area of income. So for you, it will be your gem cutting. Then you're going to have 20% that goes into your ready-made, promoting your ready-made pieces. And then you're going to have about 10% that might be, like your exhibition pieces and stuff that you do, so that you've kind of got that mix. So the same thing you can do with your grid. So if we look at your grid, let me just, why have I lost you there? Here we go. If we look at your grid and you took, say, 20 pictures that are in that grid, well, you could say, well, 14 of them need to be really around the gem cutting. And then you could have from that what's that mean? 4 will be about your products. And one of them might be about your exhibition piece or might be the glue that kind of brings it together. That's a good place to start. But The one thing that I noticed with your socials, and this is where I'd be interested to see if you start monitoring and measuring what the sales are, because I love your Friday rocks and Monday blues, and I often see them. I'm like, oh, what are you working on? And I want to see the pretty shiny bit at the end, right? There's a real endorphin hit, like the way that you've done it. It's very clever. For anyone who's interested, go check it out. It's really cool. But the thing that's missing for it for me is the sell.
Mm,
So and I think as artisans, it's something that we can all fall into the trap of as creatives as well, where it's very easy for us to really create beautiful things, but to actually create sales is a bit different.
mm.
And so a few of the things that I think that you could start to lace through there, I'd love to see some reviews of people that have actually had their gems cut with you. And but I would say get inventive with how you do it. Like, of course, you can have those posts where it's like you've got the stars and you literally write a review. They're still really good, but how else could you do it? Could you kind of almost incorporate what you're doing with the Monday Blues, Friday Rocks? And could you take some video? And depending on whether or not the customer's open to it, right? You'd have to ask them if they were, but I'm sure you'd have some who are. Could you create reels or stuff as you've worked on the product, and
Mm.
then you're getting them to write a review, and they can literally just send that through to you as a message or an email or whatever, and then you have that over the top.
Okay, that's a good idea because, like recently, I've had a young lady come in with some rough opals that
Yeah,
they had found,
yeah,
and she was so excited to come to pick it up. Well,
yeah.
actually, her family was excited. She had to come in with her brother, one of her brothers, and her husband because they all wanted to see the the transformation, what it looked like at the end. So it's something that I experienced. That's why I'm doing those things because it's so rewarding, especially when it's something where it's connected. Oh, my grandpa found those stones, and now everybody in the family wants to have one. That sort of thing, it makes it so special.
And I also think as well, like you don't like ideally, if you can get them to also be on the video, amazing. But I've been to your studio space. I love it. It's like it couldn't be more exciting, from a customer point of view to see, your bench and your shelves and all your tools and everything that you're doing. But you could literally have a video and be showing them, and then you can hear their voices in the background. And they're like, oh my goodness, that's come up so well. Or maybe it's them touching it in the video. And I think it's a good thing to remember that people genuinely want to support artisan businesses growing as well.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
they're often a lot more willing to help you create that content when you're like, oh my goodness, I so appreciate this. This is really helping me grow my business because I'm so passionate about it. Like seeing your reaction is like exactly what you've just said, which is genuine and authentic, saying the reason I love what I do is that I get to see your reaction when you come to get the gemstone.
That's so true.
So I think with that, that's where I think you can start to build in some of what's the right word? The customer experience of what they're going to get when they come to see you. And look, I know that there's lots of discussions on this about whether or not it's a right strategy, but discussing price. You know, even the idea of having something like where you can do a Canva graphic where it shows like it looks like it's a message conversation that's happened in your socials, and you don't have to share exactly what someone's put, but often they're okay if you black their name out, they don't mind. But it means that you could share with people why someone would reach out to you. I just inherited my grandmother's ring. I'd love to. What sort of price does it look like? And you could answer, it really varies without having seen the stone, but I'm sure that you can give a range.
Mm.
So that straight away, if I'm a customer looking at your socials, I go, okay, interesting. Like it starts from around, and I don't, what's your pricing, Annaïg? Where does it start to get a gemstone?
it depends on the size, and if I'm starting from rough or if I'm
Yeah.
starting from something that's already cut but it's been damaged. So it's usually it's a few $100s. If
Yeah.
it's a large stone, that's got to be more,
Yeah.
depending on the risk factor. So um,
So all of that stuff is good to, this is your opportunity to have that in your socials. Because even when you're having that conversation about, hey, look, this is where it can start from, but just like you, every stone is unique.
yeah.
So it's kind of building that in. Now, if we're talking about how you can start to sort of sprinkle your ready-made aspects through that, because someone might have been seeing all your gem cutting stuff for a while, and that's predominantly what's in your socials. And like I said, they're like, okay, well, I don't have a stone. It's not suited to me. I don't even really understand what gem cutting or like, because I know even when I caught up with you, I was like, I don't really understand what it is. But all of a sudden, when you have within that you've got the opportunity, like let me get to, yeah, I've got to scroll a long way down to actually get to your products, which is interesting.
Yeah, because I've been reviewing, like since doing a couple of the master classes, I've been rethinking the the photos that I'm taking,
Mm,
and also the titles.
yeah.
So because I'm sort of, it's brewing up in my head at the moment. I'm just not sure, well, should I put it out now? And then in the next few weeks, I'll come up with that new title, and then people are going to get confused. So that's why I haven't put as much out yet, because I'm just rethinking the whole thing.
I think that one thing that I would say is that people won't get confused. They won't even notice. As much as we think that people are watching everything, I have changed, like just as an example, I have changed Instagram bios on multiple channels multiple times, and no one has said a word. And I can put the most random things in there, and literally no one says anything because we're all so busy in our own lives, right? That we don't really notice this stuff. But I just want to pull up a photo that we've got. Like if I go back up to, just want to use this here. Now, I know you know the photos that I love the most. I'm sure you do. Like I love these ones where you're actually holding them and you're showcasing. Now, if you had that potentially in between your Fridays Blues, Friday Rocks, that would work really well. And you could potentially have a post in there as well with perhaps that's got copy on it. Like, and it might say something like, gems are for life, jewelry is a gift to yourself or something like that, right? So all of a sudden you're starting to frame the fact that you have both of these offerings. Now, from a color aspect, if you really wanted to, you could also work out, well, hey, maybe one of the additional things that I'm going to layer in there is I'm going to try and showcase some of my jewelry, pre-made jewelry, that actually ties in with what I had in Monday Blues and Friday Rocks. And the more that you can get ahead with your content creation, the more that you can start to color block a little bit as well. And perhaps it's a bit of inspiration, right? It's like, wow, let's say as an example, you get a fantastic response, from say a garnet or something that you're working on. Now, I'm not saying that your pre-made jewelry has a garnet on it, but what if it was the color that actually really attracted the audience? Is there something that you could find similar that it's like, hey, it doesn't have to be $1,000 stone. It could be a really beautiful, affordable piece of artisan quality high-end jewelry for $100.
That's such a good idea, because quite often I've got comments from people that say, "Oh wow, look at that color. I
Yep.
didn't know sapphire could be pink or purple." So yeah,
So, and
that
it's almost like you can start to kind of like, put those little drips in there. It's like, I know you all loved the pink sapphires so much. I've found this incredible gemstone or this incredible crystal or whatever it is that I think will get you ready, because when I got given a beautiful ring actually that I'm wearing, rose gold ring with little diamonds. And when I went into the jeweler store, it was a whole experience. And there were these very big gemstones that I was like, oh my God, they are beautiful. And they were almost like, yeah, but let's start off here. Like, it's like, you may not be ready yet. It's almost like, and then I was like, it made me want it even more. But it was this whole like, oh, but I could get something else that made me felt like I was on the journey to get to that piece, if that makes sense. And so the same thing kind of works with your jewelry. It's like I'm getting high-end artisan jewelry from this super experienced French gem cutter. The more that you can really promote your story and background as well, I think really adds to the quality of what you're doing. But you're taking people on a journey, and you could even go through into the posts that people have commented and say, I love this color. Tag them in the next one that you release with that color.
Oh, yes, that's a good idea. I always feel a bit nervous tagging people because,
So sorry, and I'm just as I said that, rather than tagging in the comments, so you want to share the post and you go at Sarah. This one reminded me of you. I know you loved the sapphire, but this is one that can start you on your journey.
mm, that's a good idea because that way it's not full on spammy kind of thing.
No.
Usually the people that comment on my post, I know them or they're fellow artisans or their previous customers. So it's, yeah.
And I think also as well, and I know you've heard me say this so many times, but artisans are your customers. And, they're not your only customers, but they're 100% your customers. But also, it's a great way to create that engagement. And, we all of us like to feel visible and to feel heard. And so when you can tag back and go, hey, I know you loved that sapphire I did, whatever the comment is, but you can really personalize it. And then all of a sudden, you're creating that really rich, engaged audience as well.
Mm. That's really good because that's always the struggle to get the engagement going. And then every now and then there's one thing that I get great response, and then the next post or the next few posts, it's crickets. So,
Okay, so give me an example of what a great performing post and then one that you get crickets on. Give me an example of that.
like the exhibition post that I did,
Yep.
great response on all of them.
Yes.
Then I do a little reel on something, and then it's just like viewed by 50 people or something, as the previous one was 500. So it's,
Are we talking about like I've got the post here that's got the beautiful photo of you as well in there. Is this the post that you're talking about?
let me just, yeah, I thought there was one that had more. Hang on, let me just go quickly in there. Whoops, not there. Um, okay, the opal had oops, not that. 800 was the, okay, see, when I posted, that's a different thing. Um, I posted a thing when I went to Paris last time, and I did a quick little video of Rue de la Paix and Place Vendôme
Yep.
because where I was, my apprenticeship days, that's the people I worked for, in there. So that one had 365 views,
Yep.
which was bad. But at the same time, I've got one where I'm putting things together, and I've got 1,600 views.
Yeah, so it's about nurturing your audience. So when you've shown them the space where you've gone to, where you've done your apprenticeship and stuff, I wouldn't say, hey, that didn't work. What I would say is that your audience isn't used to seeing that from you yet.
Mm,
So what they're used to seeing you do is seeing you like showing your work and showing what you're doing. So it's almost like the audience has come to expect that. So this is where you'll now go into that phase with exactly what you're doing with your products, right? Where you're wanting to rephotograph them, work on the descriptions and all that sort of stuff. But it's like you're going to have this journey where it's like, oh, I need to re-nurture the audience to understand what it is that I do, but also as well, understand that some posts just don't perform as well. And that's okay. And I think it's more about going, what did I do in the ones that really did perform well, that I can pull out some of those nuggets and use that to create content again. It's like that constant learning thing. But if you post something once and it doesn't work, I wouldn't jump to that didn't work. If you
Okay.
post that sort of content consistently and you never get a response, then absolutely, hey, maybe there's something that needed to change. And it's often, I find, it's almost like you're standing right in front of the door, like you're almost there. And, it could have been like, oh, did I need to start off with, holding something in my hand and then panning up into the environment? Like it'll be something really minor that you think, oh, like that can totally change content.
Mm. True. True.
So I'm always a big believer in, going, okay, what can I learn from this? And also, as much as humanly possible, trying not to have content on there that looks like an ad.
Mm. Yeah.
And that's, where I was saying about the collages and stuff, is that straight away you just go, they just want me to buy, it's an ad.
Mm.
And
That,
you'll notice that when you're on, so you just go, not interested.
yeah.
But now you've trained your audience to know this is what I do when I'm showing the Monday Blues or Friday Rocks, right? They're like, oh, I'm dying to have a look because you've already trained the audience to do that. So with your ready made, right, it's like, okay, well, let's use some of those same principles to go, what could I build that sits really beautifully in the grid so it looks aesthetically pleasing and someone can come and look at a glance and know what it is that I do. But then also, how can I create that engagement?
Mhm. Yeah. So experimenting with posts with my ready-made things
Yeah,
will be the key.
yeah. And all you have to do is literally just start. And even if you go, so let's say if you're doing your Monday and your Friday, right? Well, what about if you made, Wednesday is actually your product in between?
That's what I was thinking, because that gives me, it's not too much pressure to have 3 posts during the
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
And if I know, okay, decide Wednesday, that's what I'm going to do, then it's easy. I don't have to think of, oh, what's it going to be? What
And
clever.
what you can do as well is that you almost want to like when we were talking in the live this morning on Instagram, talking about warming your audience up. So what you can also have a play with, where you were talking about stories, and remember stories, like I love stories being live and that they're in the moment. But they don't have to be. Like if you've already recorded video, and let's say you've already recorded some little tiny snippets, you could start sharing those the night before you share the product.
Mm,
So let's say, like on Tuesday night, you might go, like, let's say if we're working with these earrings here as an example, right? So you might talk about why you chose this, or you could be going, it could be some video, natural video of you going, sorting through and going, oh, I want to work on these earrings, but I'm not sure which stone to go for. Which stone do you like? Da, 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 da. Like you start again, you're doing market research the whole way along, but then you're like, oh, have a look. I'll share with you tomorrow what I made. And then you happen to have, they're very hard to put on when you've got earpods on as well. Um, and then all of a sudden you go, check out tomorrow. I'll share with you what I've made. And so all of a sudden you're starting to train the audience to go, oh, on Tuesday night she's going to share. And like, it's not even knowingly that it's like it happens quite naturally.
that's true. Because quite often there is that process when you're making something that, okay, I'm preparing wires to make earrings. And then
Yeah.
I open the box with all the beads and pearls and things. And so which one's it going to be today?
Totally. And I also think as well, I wish I had some here, but like showing the tools, because I think that your tools are such beautiful pieces to show as well. So I think that you could even go, what have I got here? Oh, oh, look, it's thread, but let's just use this as an example, right? If there's, I've got a needle here, you could be pulling this off and you go, how cool is this? I have owned this pair of pliers for about 35 years. And, I remember when da 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 da. So these pliers have traveled from Paris to da 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 da. I'm like, I'm so fascinated by that.
Mm, that's true.
And so all of a sudden, like what you're doing, in the 70-20-10 aspect, in that 70%, you're actually leveraging your skills as an artisan, high-end quality gem cutter to actually not only showcase your services, but to also give authenticity, trust, and a level of quality into your ready-made products. That means that people who are engaging with your content, again, who don't have those gems, can actually come to you for a piece of you anyway.
That's excellent.
Amazing.
I just love the idea. It's made it so much. Um, it makes sense, and it's logical, and
I
it's
think I
think
think
of.
it's you as well, Annaïg. Like this isn't like I'm not creating content ideas and saying, hey, these will what will work for everyone. I mean, I've come to your studio. I've seen you. I know that this is actually who you are. So all you're doing in this moment, again, you're standing right in front of the doorway, about to open the door. All of the elements are there. It's just about, oh, what are these little final touches that I can do to really take the next level? Because you've got great audience, you've got 1,000 followers, and you don't have to have 1,000 followers to have a great artisan business, but you're already there and you've got that potential to increase your gem cutting business and really build it through socials, which I have to say, absolutely bravo, because I know a lot of people with services business who have really struggled to actually convert it into customers. So that's amazing. And now you get to utilize that to also build up your very complementary offering within your jewelry.
But I must say that the biggest element of growth that I've seen in followings was when I became more consistent in what I was posting, when I was posting,
Yeah,
and also with the coloring,
yeah,
like having something green. Like because I've been in business in Sydney for what, 20 something years.
amazing.
Meaning I've had very bright green business cards. I printed my invoices on green paper because when you call a customer saying, "Hey, I need to be paid for that invoice," you can't find the card. It's the green one.
Amazing. Yeah,
A
and
lot
I
of
think it's all those little pieces. But you're so right. The consistency is so underrated as far as how you get results. But it really is. It takes me back to, that whole philosophy of, when we all used to watch kind of traditional TV, it's like your favorite show would be on at 6 p.m. on a certain day. And that was when you'd watch TV. And it's the same thing that we're creating in socials when we create that consistency. It feels like, I don't know, like that favorite TV show.
Yeah, absolutely, and it does work.
It works. It works. Amazing. So, Aneg, is there anything else that that you want to ask or that I can share with you?
um, One thing too that you gave me in the feedback before was some of the reels don't need to be on the grid,
Yep.
what others should be,
Yes.
and I don't know which one to pick. Obviously, the ones that have been viewed a lot should stay on the grid, but
Not necessarily. The Reels algorithm actually works quite different to posts. So it's like the Reels are fed because obviously, when you're looking at Reels, you're going straight into Reels. Customers, followers, people are going into Reels and they're just scrolling through Reels. So they're never seeing posts, right? It's almost like it's two different worlds. So having a reel that's performed really well on your main grid actually doesn't make a lot of difference to the performance of that reel at all. And even with someone seeing it, right, it's like, yeah, it's great, but if they're a reels person, they'll probably go into your reels anyway. But for me, it's probably about the aesthetics and making it look really good on your main grid. So let's say, for an example, that you've got that post, where you were saying, oh, I got like 1,000 views or whatever. You can go in and edit the cover. You know how to edit the covers within your reels?
yeah, I'm still not very good at it, but I've learned that the cover is very important.
Very
So
important. Very
practicing.
important. So it also means that what you can do as well is that when you're creating a reel, is that you can take a still shot that you really like. So it's all kind of like positioned properly. Take that as a still shot, and you can actually upload that as a cover later.
Mm,
So the good thing about doing that is that what I would say with your main grid, that really needs to be aesthetically smooth.
mm.
So
Okay.
if you're using those reels, you can absolutely use the ones that have performed really well, but still just think about what does it look like on the grid?
Mm. I
And
did.
you always want to think about, sorry, and jumping in, but you always want to think about your grid is if someone who has no clue who you are, they've never heard of you, when they jump onto the grid, are you telling them who you are, who you are, does it make sense, and is it appealing?
Mm. That's true. I didn't realize I could edit the cover afterwards.
Yeah, you should be able to. And look, Meta being Meta, it doesn't always work. So if it's not working, you can just do it later. I think the only time that you can't edit the cover is if you've put advertising on it and then it sort of locks it, or it's a collaborator. So if you've got someone who's collaborating that you've invited as a collaborator, as soon as that's done, you can't change anything.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Mm. Excellent. I'll have to
Okay.
do more tweaking.
Yeah, and look, I'm a big believer in just releasing things as you go rather than waiting and going, oh, it all has to be perfect and then I'm going to release it, right? Because I think that when you make things live, things that you thought would work or things that you thought were right often aren't. And you really can't see it until it's live. So I would just say, just keep working on it as you've worked on something and you've edited it, then you've edited it and it's changed. That's fantastic. But I definitely wouldn't pull things off while you're in that process.
Good. Okay.
Amazing. Hey, Anik, I have to thank you so much for trusting me in this one-on-one session, but also for being a beautiful member of Made It. You've been, one of the champions of Made It since I've owned the business, and I really appreciate it, and I appreciate your ongoing support and engagement in the community. It just means so much.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity to do this, but also for all the classes, the master classes, and all the tips that you give to us in the private group. It's incredible how valuable it is, and
Oh,
it makes a huge difference because most often for us, we're in our little corner and we sort of, oh, is that a good thing to post? Or is that a good thing to do? And we don't know. And at least in the Made It community, like you said this morning, um, it's that community aspect, the support that we get. And it's all very friendly. Even though there's lots of people that are in competition, there's lots of people making jewelry. Um, but when we see something that might benefit somebody, we share it for them to help them because we all have our different quirks and ways of making things. So we are in competition in the same area, but we're completely different. And for me, that makes the whole difference. And that's what's kept me in Made It for years, even before you got in. So,
Absolutely, I totally agree. And it really is something so special that you can only really kind of explain it once you're in it.
Yeah.
So I couldn't have said it better myself. I think it's such a special community. But look, thank you very much, Annaïg. I hope it's helpful, and I can't wait to see what you create.
Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure, pleasure.